Hello, welcome to Miss Flores' virtual classroom. Happy Wednesday. Today is November 18th. Today we are going to be reading Hooway for Wodney Wat. And there's a very special reason why this title is set the way it is. The story is an animal fantasy. As you may have guessed, there's going to be a talking rat in this story. You might see him wearing clothes. And is that real? No, it's not. That's why we know this is a fiction story. And it's animal fantasy because there's animals in this story and they talk. The main characters are rodents who act like people. And they act like people because we can see that they wear clothes. This is a story about friendship and accepting differences in other people. I'm super excited for us to read this story. The story is about rodents, or rats, at school that all tease Rodney the rat because he cannot say his R's. This makes Wodney sad, shy, and quiet. Then something happens, and I can't wait to share with you what happens in our story, right? So we are going to be reading several books. The author of this book is Helen Lester, illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. We are going to be reading several books by Helen Lester. We're going to be reading Hooway for Wodney Wat today. We're going to be reading Princess Penelope's Parrot, and then we're going to be reading Listen, Buddy. All of these stories are going to be funny. Helen Lester loves writing hilarious books. In this book, Hooway for Wodney Wat, the main character is Wodney. His real name is Rodney, but he has trouble saying the R sound. Let's take a look at the back cover. Whoa, look at all these awards. Right here, you see this list. It lists off all the awards for this book. This book has won the 1999 Parents' Choice Gold Award, the School Library Journal Best Books of 1999, International Reading Association / Children's Book Council of Children's Choice Award, the American Library Association Notable Book for Children 2000, Parenting Magazine Reading Magic Award, and the Children's Literary Choice List for 2000. That is a lot of awards. Helen Lester has won tons of awards for this book. We're going to read this book and think about why has she won so many awards for this book, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Hooway for Wodney Wat. Poor Wodney Wat. His real name was Rodney Rat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make it worse, he was a rodent. A rodent. What's your name, Wodney? Asked the other rodents. Woddy Wat, whispered Wodney. What's another name for Bunny? They asked knowingly. Wabbit, he mumbled. Look at those kids making fun of him. What do you think about how the other rodents are treating Wodney? How do you think they're treating him? Are they being very nice to him? I don't think so. What do you notice about Rodney in this picture? He's the little one that's sitting on the ground. What do you notice about him in this picture? He looks very, very sad. How does a train travel? They winked at each other. A twain travels on twain tracks, Wodney replied miserably. And all of these animals are rodents. Rodents include animals such as rats, mice, hamsters, and guinea pigs. So you're going to see a bunch of different of those characters. Look how sad Rodney is and how these kids are laughing at him. All this teasing day in and day out made Wodney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed lunch alone. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wodney hid inside his jacket. Look at him eating lunch all by himself. And look at him, he's not playing with anyone at recess. Go ahead and take a moment. I want you to think about, why does Wodney hide in his jacket? Everyone else is playing at recess around him, but he's hiding. Why is that? He's hiding because he's so sad. He is so sad that he thinks other kids are going to make fun of him. Then one day, as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom and announced, "My name is Camilla Cabara. I'm bigger than any of you, I'm meaner than any of you, and I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So there." And there is their new student, Camilla Capybara. With that, she accidentally, on purpose, elbowed an ear, bumped 2 noses, stepped on 3 tails, and lay down on her desk. Fur prickled in fear throughout the class. She sure was bigger than any of them. She sure looked meaner than any of them. Was she smarter than any of them? There is Camilla Capybara wreaking havoc on our class. "4. What's 2 plus 2? Asked Miss Fuzzleworth. "4, shouted Camilla Capybara without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, and 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Miss Fuzzleworth asked, "What's the capital of?" Camilla interrupted, "New York, Albany, population 295,594. And during science, in the answer to the question, "What part of the plant is below the ground?" Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, root, 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 rooty, tooty, toot." Yep, thought all the other students, she's smarter than we are, too. They felt very uncomfortable. And there's Camilla shouting out answers in class. Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Miss Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game, Simon Says. She scrunched her eyes and closed and jiggled the hat. Would it be Hairy Hamster, Minnie Feet Mouse, Grizzle Fizz, Guinea Pig? Could it be the big, mean, smart Camilla Capybara? And there she is drawing names. Listen again as I reread the names of the students in the class. Hairy Hamster, Minnie Feet Mouse, Grizzle Frizz Guinea Pig, or Big Mean Smart Camilla Capybara. What choice did Helen Lester make when she named the characters? Why did she choose to name these characters that? If you said it's because all the characters in this story are rodents, so she gave them rodent names, and that is correct. That is why Helen Lester, our author, chose to do that. Miss Fuzzlesworth Paul reached in and out the name of Wodney Wet. The bell rang and there was a wild scurry for the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled others in her path. Look at how she trampled over all those kids. To Wodney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe Capybara's breath in his face, or tie him up in his own tail, or even pounce on him? Look at all the things that Rodney thinks is going to happen. He is very scared of Camilla Capybara. The tiny, trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head well inside his jacket, and squeaked, "Wodney says weed the sign." While the other rodents read P.S. 142 Elementary School for Rodents, Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign and wildly flinging them hither and yon until she would clear up to her teeth in the dirt. The other rodents began to smile. So Rodney says to read this sign, but we know that because he can't pronounce his R's, it sounds he says weed the sign. So why is Camilla weeding, right? Weeding is when you're going to pull out the weeds. She's weeding because she doesn't know that Rodney means reading because she doesn't know he can't pronounce his R's. She's a new student. She didn't know that about Rodney. So Rodney is saying to read the sign, but Camilla only heard weeding. Let's go ahead and see what other things that she misunderstands that Rodney says. Wodney says, wrap your paws around your head. He peeked a little peek out of his jacket and saw, whap, 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 whappity, sloppity, whap. Camilla was whapping her paws on her head so hard she became dizzy, gave herself a headache, and had to sit down. Two of the other rodents could not stop giggling. Right? So Rodney is trying to say, wrap your paws around your head. But Camilla didn't know that he said wrap. She heard him say whop, so she thought that she had to hit her head. Wodney says play wing around the wosy. Camilla put her arms out like wings and made paper airplanes. Nah. But where was the wosy? What was the wosy? So what was he trying to say? He was trying to say play ring around the rosy. But Camilla thought he meant to play wing like an airplane wing. By now, Wodney's voice was stronger and his head was entirely out of his jacket. Wake the leaves! Nobody moved. Wodney says, wake the leaves. While Harry, Minifeet, and Grizzlefrizz and the others bruised themselves raking, Camilla grabbed one leaf. Wake up! She yelled. Right? So what's he trying to say? He says, wake the leaves. That's what Camilla hears. So she's trying to wake up some leaves. But the other kids know he can't pronounce his R's, so they think he's saying rake. They know he's trying to say rake. And what do you notice about Rodney now? His head's not in his jacket anymore. And his voice is stronger and louder. She snatched another one. Come on, you, up, up, up. And another one, rise and shine. And another, boo! By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter. All but Camilla, who frowned, stupid leaves, they won't wake up. And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies. In a voice so strong, he had to hold his own ears, Wodney called, Wodney says, go west. The other rodents collapsed in a happy heap for a rest. Go west. Camille and Capybara felt very smart that she could tell the directions by the sun. All right, I shall go west, she then added. So there, west she stopped forever. She was gone. What's changed about Rodney? He's so loud now. He's so loud because he gained some confidence throughout the game and realized that just because he couldn't pronounce his R's, he actually helped get rid of the real bully. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents never teased Wodney again. He was their hero. Hooray for Wodney Wat, they cried. Woot, 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 dee, woot, toot, toot. That was a fun story. Thank you so much for listening, students. Have a great Wednesday.